Now, right after it happened, there was a lot of questions as to why Donald Trump decided to fire James Comey. Now, after it happened, of course, his surrogates put out a whole bunch of different narratives. Oh, he's bad at his job. He was showboating. The FBI, it was a mess. It was a disaster. Nobody was winning with the FBI. There was no confidence in James Comey, which proved to be false. It's also one of the narratives, and I love this. It's what he did to Hillary, how he handled the Hillary Clinton investigation. One narrative is, well, he wasn't tough enough on Hillary Clinton. He didn't get her indicted. And the most hilarious excuse that also went along with it is that Trump did this to defend Hillary Clinton's honor for what he did to Hillary Clinton during the election. Insane, right? Laugh along with me on that last one. Now, all those different narratives were put out and subsequently debunked one by one. Not by just the media, but by Donald Trump himself. Now, James Comey, during this hearing that went on earlier today, he wanted to address that. Let's take a look.
When I was appointed FBI director in 2013, I understood that I served at the pleasure of the president. Even though I was appointed to a 10-year term, which Congress created in order to underscore the importance of the FBI being outside of politics and independent, I understood that I could be fired by a president for any reason or for no reason at all. And on May the 9th, when I learned that I had been fired, for that reason, I immediately came home as a private citizen. But then the explanations, the shifting explanations, confused me and increasingly concerned me. They confused me because the president and I had had multiple conversations about my job, both before and after he took office. And he had repeatedly told me I was doing a great job and he hoped I would stay. So it confused me when I saw on television the president saying that he actually fired me because of the Russia investigation, and learned again from the media that he was telling privately other parties that my firing had relieved great pressure on the Russia investigation. I was also confused by the initial explanation that was offered publicly that I was fired because of the decisions I had made during the election year. And although the law required no reason at all to fire an FBI director, the administration then chose to defame me and, more importantly, the FBI by saying that the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce lost confidence in its leader. Those were lies, plain and simple. And I am so sorry that the FBI workforce had to hear them, and I'm so sorry that the American people were told them.
So, yeah, those were lies, plain and simple. Now, again, you might not believe James Comey because you're like, well, no, he's lying. He's going to lie about Trump. No. Trump actually said, no, I fired him because of Comey. Or because of Russia. I fired Comey. That's it. I mean, among other things, he was showboating. He was doing all this stuff. He was bad at his job. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I fired him because of the Russian investigation. And by the way, that nut job Comey, after I fired him, man, that relieved a lot of pressure from that cloud of the Russian investigation. He's an idiot. So again, all those narratives were put out. So now let's fast forward, and that was from earlier in the hearing. So now let's go forward to Dianne Feinstein, who asked Comey again why he believed Donald Trump actually fired him.
Let me begin with one overarching question. Why do you believe you were fired?
I guess I don't know for sure. I believe I take the president at his word that I was fired because of the Russia investigation. Something about the way I was conducting it, the president felt created pressure on him that he wanted to relieve. Again, I didn't know that at the time, but I've watched his interview. I've read the press accounts of his conversations, so I take him at his word there. Now, look, I could be wrong. Maybe he's saying something that's not true, but I take him at his word, at least based on what I know now.
Hey, man, I take him at his word. That's what he said, because he said it on television during an interview. And I didn't have enough time to pull that tape out of, that video out of storage, but it's out there, okay, of Trump saying, yeah, absolutely, it was because of the Russia investigation. Again, I take the president at his word. Well, I don't know. I've been hearing that maybe you shouldn't take the president at his word because he's absolutely an enormous liar. But But again, how can you tell what he's lying about and what he's not lying about when he lies so goddamn much? But in that case, I think at that point he was being honest in actually admitting it. Besides, we know, again, afterwards, hey, I fired nutjob Comey, and boy, that took some pressure off me. When it came to Russian, again, that ironically destroyed every single defense that he had in a single interview. And it's really amazing how politically inept Donald Trump is. You wouldn't think that this, you didn't think that this would be a big deal. It ended up being a pretty big deal. He's like, what? I fired Comey. I thought the Democrats would love it. No! You fired him in the middle of an investigation, which, by the way, he wasn't investigating Trump. And he came out and said, he's like, yeah, I'm not investigating Donald Trump. I'm just investigating Russia and some of the people in Trump's orbit. I wasn't actually investigating you. Now, Comey didn't come out and say that, and that's going to be one of course, Donald Trump's defenses. Hey, he didn't come out and say that he, publicly that he wasn't investigating me. But again, this goes back to the Hillary Clinton thing, because he did come out and say, well, we're investigating Hillary Clinton. Oh, oops, turns out that we weren't investigating Hillary Clinton. And he got, of course, dragged through the coals for it because it was untrue. And so he didn't want to make the same mistake this time, which is completely understandable. But again, I know, look, Donald Trump is incredibly inept. He's bad at this, right? So it's going to be really hard for anyone to defend him. Now, right now, a lot of people are saying that Comey's testimony just made the case for obstruction of justice. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but hey, man, that would be pretty interesting. So we'll have to see what happens. And again, you might not take Comey at his word, which that's okay, right? You don't trust him. You don't trust him. That's fine. If you'd rather take Donald Trump's word for it, okay. Well, he already told you, unless he goes back on it and then or lies about it again. I don't know. Donald Trump, again, serial liar. But on this, they're both coming out with the same story, that it was all about Russia. So at this point, you don't have to believe one or the other because both are saying the exact same thing. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.